I'm here to introduce an idea that truly is worth sharing. It's an idea that has saved thousands of lives and transformed just as many. The idea I'm sharing is face, accept, float, and let time pass. These words have saved so many lives, not just for people who are suffering with anxiety disorders, but we can apply face, accept, float, and let time pass to many of the problems and challenges we face in life. My name is Dr. Damien Clarke. I'm a chartered counselling psychologist. I currently work for Meta as part of their psychological health and safety team. About 14 years ago, I did a massive U-turn and returned to college to study psychology. Since then, I've worked for the Health Service of Ireland, disability services, and a variety of different employee assistance programs. Oddly enough, what gives me the most satisfaction is helping people overcome their anxiety disorders using this approach here. We might get a little bit of audience participation, if that's okay. Liven things up. Don't worry too much. So, a show of hands if you've heard of Sigmund Freud. That's everybody in the room, so. Sigmund Freud, considered the founder of psychoanalysis, talked about theories on our dreams, the unconscious mind, and early childhood experiences have an impact on our adult lives. What about John Kabat-Zinn? A little bit less, but still a show of hands. He's considered the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction programs. If you've ever practiced mindfulness, you've probably heard his very calming, soothing voice. Does anybody recognize this person on the screen here? I'm going to say not many. And this is Dr. Claire Weeks. So if I've introduced to you the founder and godfather of psychoanalysis, the godfather of mindfulness, this is the godmother of anxiety disorders. In preparation for today's talk, I spent some time reviewing other talks on anxiety disorders. I entered some chat forums. I reflected on my time working on different helplines and working with people just like you. And so often, people just like you who suffer with anxiety disorders are completely bewildered by their experience. It is the most frightening experience you could imagine dealing with an anxiety disorder. So many people are suffering and desperately seeking answers. And so to those people who are watching this TED Talk, I'm talking directly to you. I know you and I've been you. You're in the right place. Recovery can start right here. If you're a bit more patient with me. So, anxiety disorders are a group of mental health conditions that cause excessive worry, nervousness, and fear. Sometimes all at once, sometimes all the time. That describes the symptoms for those who suffer with anxiety disorders. We can talk about a racing heart, feeling like your heart is going to jump out of your chest, racing and catastrophic thoughts, trembling, shaking, nausea. It sounds horrible, and it really is. You can get better though. There is always hope, and life will feel like living again. So often when I'm working with people who are suffering with anxiety disorders, they tell me that they don't feel like they are living. They feel like they are simply existing. Over 300 million people suffer with anxiety disorders. Disorders like generalized anxiety disorders, panic attacks, social anxiety, PTSD, agoraphobia. I'm sure you've heard many of them, each equally challenging. That number could be doubled or tripled because very often people with anxiety disorders, they suffer in silence. They're afraid of the stigma. And most probably, they are unaware of what they are experiencing. There is such little education around mental health issues that many of us who suffer with it don't know where to start. So before tuning out of this talk, just remember, I was someone just like you who thought this would never matter to me. And as if you still don't think this will matter to you, maybe think of a family member, a friend, a student, someone in your life who will undoubtedly deal with an anxiety disorder at some point. And I've really brought the tone of the event down, being the last talk on this lovely evening, and I'm talking about anxiety. But this is a hopeful message. So, how do we overcome anxiety disorders? In fact, how do we overcome our problems in general? The first step that we must do is face it. That sounds so obvious. But so often, those who suffer with anxiety disorders, in fact, when we suffer with our problems, we don't face our problems. We run from them. We deny that they exist. It's understandable. When we feel anxious, adrenaline is dumped into our system, and we feel like fighting or flighting or freezing or even fawning. The last thing we feel like doing when we're anxious is face it. It's natural to want to flee it. That's what kept us safe from danger. But not facing it strengthens it. The more you try and run from yourself, or the more you try and run from something that makes you anxious, the worse it gets. Very often, what we are originally afraid of is no longer what is bringing us anxiety, but we become anxious of the physical sensations that we're feeling. It's very hard to outrun ourselves. So step one is to step back and actually face what it is that makes you anxious. Face our problems. Next up, we have to accept it. And that sounds easy, and I promise it's not. There's no quick fix here. But to accept it means to almost choose as if this is something that you wanted. To accept it means allow yourself to feel whatever it is comes your way as if you chose it. That is a massive leap for people who have been doing everything other than accept what they feel. So let that sink in. For me to overcome anxiety, I need to accept everything that it throws at me. Every symptom. No more complaints. No more wishing it away. No more scrambling around the internet looking for answers. You haven't found them. So step two is accepting that you are in this situation, accepting all of the physical, mental issues that come with it as if you chose it. Not half-heartedly, 100% wholeheartedly. I choose to feel this way. I am allowing myself to feel this way. Next up, to flow with it. This was a concept I found a little bit tricky to understand originally. But to float with it, well, that's like being in the eye of the storm. You understand the idea of facing it. You've grasped the concept of accepting it. But now it's time to take action. Maybe gently exposing yourself to the situations that make you feel anxious. And so when you feel anxious, when you're in the eye of the storm, when the anxiety is swirling around you, I'm asking you to do something different. I'm asking you not to fight it. I'm asking you not to try and swim upstream, but to float downstream, to let the anxiety pass through you, to let it wash over you. And if you do this, you will find that the anxiety eventually subsides. You will find a voice within yourself that says, I'm okay. This isn't easy. It's not perfect. We are not here to judge the anxiety, but we are willing to let it bring us wherever it wants us to go. And when you do that, and you practice it, that voice inside you that says, I'm okay, gets stronger and stronger until one day the anxiety doesn't matter. And finally, we need to let time pass. Those who suffer with anxiety disorders, those who have problems just like you or me, we want quick fixes. We want things to be better as soon as possible. And that's not how things work. We need to be patient in our recovery. We need to let our bodies heal. And we need to expect setbacks. So very often, when someone I've been working with returns to my office, they'll be so disappointed that they've had another anxiety attack, a panic attack. Some type of phobia has crept back in. And I tell them, this is the opportunity to learn. This is the opportunity right now to learn to face it. No more running. To accept it as if you chose it. To float with it and let it take you wherever it wants it to go. And to be patient once more. It is in setbacks that we learn the most about ourselves. My journey is a very typical journey. I do live a very happy and lucky life. When I was around 28, 29, I transitioned from one job to another job. It was quite stressful. I wasn't getting enough sleep. For some strange reason, I decided to start drinking bucket loads of coffee. And so I sat at my computer early one morning and I had my first panic attack. And it was a nasty panic attack. It passed by, as they always do. But I had that niggling thought at the back of my mind that said, what if it comes again? And so I went off on my travels with a new job. And as I sat on that airplane, boy, did I regret it. And I had multiple panic attacks. Anxiety loves it when you're trapped in a space. So I worked my way through 6 or 7 weeks with this really horrible panic and anxiety. I even brought myself to the doctor, convinced I was having heart attacks. They reassured me that I was okay. And so it went away until it came back. And it came back quite badly. But I was very lucky that I had a family member who pointed me in the direction of the books and the work of Dr. Claire Weeks. And that is when my recovery journey started. So who was Dr. Claire Weeks? Well, in 1927, Claire was a student on her way to becoming the first woman to earn a doctorate of science when she got sick. She was misdiagnosed with tuberculosis, and in essence, it scared the life out of her. She spent 2 years suffering with anxiety, and this experience shaped her life. How she overcame her anxiety was through a stroke of luck. She met a soldier who had returned from World War I, and this soldier described shell shock, PTSD, and how other soldiers were working through their experience by floating with the symptoms and sensations. This was a revelation to Claire. She quickly recovered from her anxiety disorders. She understood that there was a fear, an avoidance, and she had a very nervous, responsive system. And so she went on a journey of healing and recovery. In 1952, she became a GP in Sydney. Her style was particularly soothing, warming, calm, and knowledgeable. She developed a reputation for helping people with anxiety and panic disorders. She listened very carefully to their experiences. And so she developed a program to help people all over the world overcome anxiety disorders. Her books were incredibly popular. She was invited, interviewed all over the world. However, she didn't really get the recognition she deserved. And I'm doing a small thing in helping to address that by delivering this TED Talk. I spoke to her great niece recently in Sydney, and I asked her why didn't Claire get the recognition that she deserved. And Jane, her niece, told me that it was considered a type of homespun self-help topic that really wasn't researched in labs. There was a type of snobbery to her work. Psychologists and psychiatrists didn't really like that she was encouraging people to help themselves. When prior to that, people spent time and money going to therapists who were obsessed with delving into our past. Claire offered practical solutions to help people overcome their anxiety. And in fact, her business was bad for their business. So, just a couple of quick tips for those who are desperately trying to overcome their anxiety. These things will supplement the 4-step approach to helping you overcome your anxiety. These are practical things that I do with my clients as well. So if you're suffering with anxiety, wake up when the alarm goes off. Get out of bed. Anxiety loves to have a negative impact at the start of your morning. Don't pull the blanket over your head, hide behind the sheets, and let those negative thoughts swarm around your head. I can't do this. I can't face this. I wish it would go away. If you're feeling anxious in the morning, get up and get busy. That's not acceptance. That's just practical. Have a plan in place. Consider a daily planner. For those with low moods, high anxiety, we need to know what our future looks like. Have a plan in place for what every day looks like. I'm not asking you to scramble around filling every second of the day, but have a practical plan of how you are going to pass time. We need to be stimulated. And when we're not stimulated, our minds can create problems for us. Be mindful of caffeine like I wasn't. If you're already in an anxious and stressed state, adding layers of caffeine into your body is only going to create more problems. Try and exercise regularly, even if you don't feel like it. A gentle walk will do. It helps for the adrenaline and cortisol to be washed out of your system. Try and avoid alcohol and drugs. If you're feeling anxious, you drink too much, I guarantee you the next day is going to feel an awful lot worse. Focus on good quality sleep. We almost get competitive about how little sleep we get. The average person needs between 7 and 9 hours sleep, and there's no shame in that. Life is easier to tackle with good quality sleep. Claire wrote numerous books. She was an incredible person who deserves to be recognized. I have only scratched the surface of talking about how she has helped people. If you are interested in overcoming anxiety or more curious about her work, her latest book was written, and it's called Complete Self-Help for Your Nerves. It's narrated by another one of her great nieces. Claire died in 1990, and I think most people who have engaged with her work transforming their lives, would want to say a massive thank you to her. Remember, don't wait to feel awful to get the help that you deserve. So often when I'm working with people, it's nearly always the way. They enter my room and they're at the worst time of their life. Why don't people come to me when they're starting to feel bad? If you cut your arm badly today, would you wait until you bled out on the floor to get help? Absolutely not. But so often when it comes to mental health, we suffer in silence, we wait and wait and wait, and our problems get worse and worse and worse. So be an advocate, supporting people with their mental health. Urge people, including yourselves, to get support early. And finally, I think the clicker's running out of battery. Remember. Who can remember the 4 steps? Face it. Face it. Don't run from your problems. Don't run from your anxiety. Accept it as if you chose it wholeheartedly. When you're in the eye of the storm, work with it. Let it bring you whenever it wants to bring you. And finally, let time pass. You must be patient in your recovery. Folks, thank you so much for your attention. I'm Damien Clarke, and I think we're finished.